Hi, this is the Human Operating System time. This channel is for education and technology only. So in the past few videos, I have shared the 1850 Shulin Tao sets body mechanic development. And in one of the videos, I have shared how to use the modern tools to train or develop the Kung Fu more effective and get result. And I have shared with using different tools like the band, the strike, the bullwalker, and so forth. So after that, I have received many messages from our Wing Chun friends. Some asking me, how can they learn this? And some asking me, is that a set of using this like modern tools to develop the 1850s Shulin Tao in the modern way? So there are many questions our friend asked me. And today I like to share with you the basic of what the ancient Chinese do. And so this basic is applied to the 1850s Shulin Tao sets. This basic apply to other traditional Chinese martial arts. So if you know this basic, it will help you to see things clearly and know what exactly you train, and you'll be able to verify whether other people, when they tell you certain type of training, is it make sense or not. We can do this today because we base on the ancients, evidence, and today's science. Okay? Now, let's start. We need to start this entire body mechanic development with the H model in Wing Chun Inception. Okay, this is really critical. This H model in Wing Chun Inception. Okay, you can take a snapshot here, and then you can refer to it. Okay. This H model is really critical because this is a map which mapping the ancients and the today's sport science. So if you look at this, all this heart rate zone here from the resting to the maximum heart rate zone, you can know that under here that is recovery in today's words, recovery. And then over here it is aerobic, and then on top of this is anaerobic. Okay? Or you can see that on here in aerobic is cardio, and on here anaerobic will involve in isometrics because you need muscle and so forth. Okay? So this is recovery. Say this is recovery, this is cardio, this is your isometrics. You develop your muscle and so forth. Because when you want to do for maximum impulse momentum handling, you need those muscle and those bones to support it. So if you look at that under here, this is actually like your breathing, your internal organs, to loosen up those kind of stuff. And then on top of here, around here, it is actually to make sure that the body is function properly and as one unit. Now, on top of that, that is where the development of the muscle and bone or sinews come into play. And only on top of that, one be able to play in the impulse momentum games. And we know that this is cardio over here, that is aerobic, and over here is anaerobic, that you use different type of fuel to support or to support your body activity. Okay, so this is very important because internal organs or recovery, your cardio, and your bone and your muscle training here. You see how they do it in the ancient Chinese? They first make sure the breathing, the internal organs is in the good conditions, and then it get up to get the body become integrate, and then in a good condition, and then they move into like isometrics or isotonic isometrics, those type of activity, and then with that it be able to support the impulse momentum play. Okay, so the Chinese say that internally one train one's energy, breathing, and the mind over here. And then externally, one train one's muscle, sinews, and bone, which is here. Okay, so a complete development of body mechanic is internally train the breathing, the energy, the mind, and then explicitly one trains one's muscle and bones and sinews, and they support each other because we are human. Humans have all of this, and if you want to have the high impulse momentum activity, you better have the muscle and the bones. You need to have the strength training. So from this, we need to know if one do 站桩, standing, pose, those meditation, it just only practice this. It is not likely one develop the bones and the muscle over here. Okay, over here is the cardio, like people play the qigong, everything is over here. And that too is not likely it is the training of the bone and the muscle. Okay, so if you look at today, people say internal training. It sounds like internal training is everything. Well, that is not what the ancients say. This is what they made up for past few decades or 100 years or so. The internal today, you can look at that, is only low aerobic. It's not even getting to the deep breathing here in this state, where now today we can measure it with your heart rate variability, your SpO2, those kind of stuff, whether you got it or not. Okay, and also those stuff is not going to get into your isotonic isometrics, where you can measure your strength with like this German really good technology isokineto here. Okay, so this is very good for developing the muscle. Okay, it is a strength training, right? So you can look at that. This is recovery, this is cardio, and this is strength training. Okay, so at any martial arts, because you need to fight, meaning that you need to play with impulse momentum, you have to be able to have the development or handling of the recovery, the cardio, and the strength training. And recovery is important because when you do strength training, you always have to go recover, or in recovery state. Same when you do aerobic. If you do high aerobic and so forth, you always need to hear for recovery of body. Okay? So, we need to know that the ancient Chinese have this big picture and know all this what I'm presenting to you just now in today's language. Recovery, cardio, strength training, which you have your isotonic, isometrics, recovery, aerobic, anaerobic, which is deal with your different fuels of your body. Like at anaerobic, you burn carb. At aerobic, you burn fat with your oxygen, right? So if one is not trained on this, well, it is a disaster. Thinking that, oh, if I play this solo sets, then I have qigong, then I can beat everybody. That's not what human is about, and that's not what the ancient Chinese is talking about. Now, for recovery, we know that breathing is important. The mind quiet down is important. So for recovery, the synchronizations of the breathing and the mind is the key of the key. The synchronizations of the mind and the breathing. So it is regard of this Buddhist, Taoist, Confucians, or Chinese medicines, or internal art, all is based on the mind and breathing synchronizations. Okay? So at the recovery state, you need to know that. Now in the cardio, we know what is cardio, what do you call it, the aerobic, where you can have your body have more oxygen, blood circulations. The Chinese have one more thing, which is make sure the meridians is handling smoothly. So that is why, like in Wing Chun Inception, we are talking about synchronizations in chapter 8, I think. Yeah, chapter 8, synchronization. So you have all kind of different type of synchronization, like your meridian synchronizations, your breathing, your breathing and the qi and so forth. So that is how it prepared for getting up for the strength. Okay? Now, when you get strength training, of course, you have to develop your muscle, your bone and so forth. Otherwise, how can you fight? Okay? So I hope that you see that clearly. The bottom line of the recovery is the breathing and the mind synchronizations. And then on top of that, the cardio, the aerobic part for the body development, like the what do you call it, the qigong or the internal, the solo, that is to align up the entire body to make sure that all the energy flow, the breathing, the synchronizations of the meridians, all are one piece. And then on top of that, you go to strength training. Okay? So in the strength training, for example, we today talk about the sun punch. Okay? The sun punch. Now the sun punch, if you just do it with this and that, then you just go doing this. Well, in the 1850s, it's not. The sun punch is the entire with the back, with the core with the back, and that lamp down to your legs. So this entire muscle there, okay? And Like for the what do you call it, the Qi platform, you see my body, it's entire thing. See my body, all this muscle, your shoulder muscle, your back muscle, your chest muscle. So when you do this, kind of stuff, it's actually training this muscle, this internal one, inside the body. Okay, and when you do this kind of stuff, it's outside the muscle, in the outside, in the back, those things. So it is like today's, if you look into the strength training, different muscle group training. And only after that, one be able to have strength. The body is actually refined to be like a stainless steel, one piece, okay? Every move, every part of the body, from the breathing and mind, and all the synchronizations and the muscle, the bone and sinews, all lumped up into one. Then that is how strong it is. And that's why in the short strike, it be able to strike here, because all this muscle is intact. That's very different than today's, I just practice Tan Sao or Sun Punch. No, the entire thing is what I have shared with you, from the breathing, mind, the synchronizations, including the Qi, make sure it's flow. Once it's flow, and then you go on top of that, you do the muscle and all these conditions. That's what it is. So when you practice Yulin Tao, it has to be that way. So say I do a Sun Punch. It's not that I just put the shoulder, I stand square, and then I just use elbow power. It's not. It is the entire thing. It's like it drill into it. Okay. So it is the entire body. It move together. It support each other from the core out to the muscle. Okay. Now in the real fight, of course, it is going to get into a different positions, into dynamic where one cannot plan. Well, that is the time one need. It's really critical that one need all those integrations. So if one had never trained the shoulder blade, this upper back and shoulder and this chest, how can one play? Not to mention that, you need to train this chest muscle to help your cardio and all kind of stuff too. Because the internally trained develop the energy, the breathing, and the mind, and the externally develop the muscle, the sinews, the bone. They actually support each other. Okay, you have the very strong internal, the organs works well, and then you train on the external, the muscle and so forth. You grow the muscle, and then you're coming back again to the internal. You're keeping growing it. That is how strength is developed in ancient Chinese 1850s. And today it's easier for us because like we have these tools to check what I mentioned here in the breathing and so forth, up to the anaerobic. Okay, so there's the internal stuff. We have these tools to check how much strength we have, and do we improve our strength or training. We know it really clearly. And with today's sports science and body anatomy, with the muscle, we know exactly what happened. We know which part is weak. If we weak, that means you cannot perform because certain part of your body is not developed. Okay. So this is a time that 1850s, the ancient and today's, can be fused into one and making even better. Because right now we have all those tools, we be able to train more effective, more specific, with quality, and more be able to get more the result more easily and in less time, and we can improve if we find out something is different. So as what I mentioned, that like your previous chi sao, you see the body, the upper back, lower back, all this working. You see this, your shoulder, your tricep, bicep, all is working. Okay? It is not just mimic something, but the entire thing is one, like the stainless steel ropes. It intertwined together. That is the type of Chinese Kung Fu body. Look at today's, like the fight between Lei Lei, the Tai Chi guy, and Xi Xiaodong. You look at his body of Lei Lei, he doesn't have that. So how can he handle the imposed momentum of the Xi Xiaodong? You look back at Xi Xiaodong, when he talked, he always clear his throat and breathing. You know he have an issue in the recovery. His body do not take care of that. Okay? So today we know, scientifically, this is the time that we can actually surpass the past if we do it properly, scientifically, based on ancient evidence and today's sport science. And this is not only Wing Chun. This is every traditional Chinese martial arts. That's why this book will be really critical, because this is the book which is breaking the boundary or the tracks or the legends or hearsays of internal or so forth, so forth. We want to see the entire thing together, and the ancients and the modern all is at once. So you say, oh, I have a sun punch, I have a power. Well, gauge it. How much strength do you really have? And that is related to how much muscle you have, applicable muscle you have. And that is going to relate to your breathing. Even you want to do strength practice or development, don't you need that breathing? Okay? So this is what I like to share with you. So the entire 1850s Xiu Lim Tao set, when you get up to the impulse momentum level, it has to be like that. Otherwise, it won't work. And if you look into the 1960s Xiu Lim Tao, in general today, you see they don't train that. And it's not Hendrik say that, or I want to badmouth anybody. No. And the H model, you know what it is. And so why do we want to know? Because the MMA player, the Olympic player, they know about recovery, they know about cardio, they know about strength development. Even though today's Western technology and science in the recovery part is still lag behind compared with the ancient Chinese or the Indian yoga. because the Chinese and Indian yoga have a good handling of that thing. The Western sports science still don't have that. Okay? But on the other hand, on the anatomy of the muscle, how to grow the muscle, strengthen the muscle, the Western sports science have a good technology and have good tools, like the fitness tools. So here we are not going to say that who is good, who is bad. Traditional Chinese martial art has problem, yes, like every technology has problem. And solving the problem is mean progress. Progress means solving the problem. And the truth of the Chinese martial art, like in the movie you saw this gatekeeper and all this thing. Well, that is story, that is movie. The real thing is every generation will every generation be able to progress, move forward. That is the name of the game. Okay? So it is not about, oh, this is a guy, I got a secret scroll from my master, and then I become his the styles gatekeeper because my teacher teach me the secret sets. And then because you come to my seminar, then you brush your wing with mine, then you'll be able to have your kung fu. Okay? No, it is not that. It is exactly like sports science. Recovery, your cardio, your fitness, you need to practice it day in, day out on your strength. This is just body mechanics. In the impulse momentum, there are more things there. But at least today, I share with you what you need to know on the body mechanics of Wing Chun 1850s and also traditional Chinese martial arts.